All right, settle down, settle down. Yeah, that's right. Guess who's back, bitches? It's me, and I'm better than ever, yes, sir. uh, you ever play a game so good, so unbelievably good, that it just has you shitting, pissing, and coming in your pants to the point where you can't even last 5 minutes without making an absolute mess everywhere? Yes, I am indeed a 23-year-old adult, and no, this isn't an ad on a questionable website. Halo 2 is a game developed by a little indie studio that you guys might not have heard of. They go by the name of Bungie. Okay, listen, you think I'm some kind of fucking comedian? This isn't the kind of Bungie I'm talking about, alright? Put the actual fucking Bungie on the screen. Yeah, there we go, baby. Launching in 2004, a year already filled with great releases like Doom 3, Kanye West's College Dropout album, Half-Life 2. Why the fuck did I write the whole name of the album? Anyways, we also had stuff like Half-Life 2, Spider-Man 2,
Pizza time,
Shrek 2, The Passion of the Christ. Yeah, I bet you didn't know Shrek 2 and The Passion of the Christ came out in the same year now, did ya? Don't fucking lie to me, I know you didn't know that shit. Also, not to flex, but your boy was a whole 3 years old by this point, and I remember it like it was yesterday. The constant crawling around, walking, crawling, some more walking. Okay, I actually don't remember that much about when I was 3, but you know what I do remember? All the hours I spent playing Halo 2 during this time period. Not necessarily when I was 3, but you know, I remember mainly playing this game a lot with either my uncle, my friends, or, well, actually my one friend I should say, and then you know, and then my uncle again, and then myself, and then mostly just by myself. And you know, I did ask my mom one time to play with me, and she said no. So I didn't have too many friends. It's just I didn't have anybody to play this game with. It was just lonely all the time. I didn't have any friends. This game took up a large portion of my early childhood, and if you were growing up around this time and your family wasn't a bunch of pussies, or if you were a fully grown adult, you'd know how big of an impact this game had. Halo 2 was everywhere, whether you were a dirty, filthy piece of shit gamer or a normal person, you knew about Halo. And keep in mind, it's not like today where a game like Fortnite becomes super popular and it's being posted everywhere on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or you just so happen to be so unfortunate enough to be stuck with little Timmy back there giving you auditory aids because he can't stop crying over someone killing him.
Dude, get off of me!
It's 2004, you're lucky if your shit gets all this media attention, and 9 times out of 10, if it is being shown by the media, it was probably because a bunch of boomers didn't understand the concept of how video game ratings work, and started crying because they decided to buy little 10-year-old Jimmy a game like GTA. The success of Halo CE left people clamoring for more, and the second they got a taste of Halo 2, oh, it was a riot. You had players taking part in Bungie's I Love Bees ARG, which I'm not about to get too deep into, but the highlight of that whole thing was some guy in Florida went to a payphone to try and participate in the ARG in the middle of a hurricane, and the actor on the other side broke character and had to tell him to leave. Halo 2 was being talked about by everyone. It was on the news, billboards, all over the internet. Shoot, even this living piece of human cardboard talked about it.
Dozens of grown men and probably about 3 women have crawled out of their parents' basements tonight to be first in line to buy the new video game Halo 2.
On release night, fans were lined up for hours outside of stores across the country, just waiting to get their hands on Halo 2. These boys must have been coked out, cause no way in hell was I doing all this shit, especially in the middle of November.
laid off, so I don't work tomorrow, which is great because Halo 2 is out. And I'm done with school. I have no life. It's all about Halo.
But you know what? It was that level of hype that ended up with Halo 2 becoming the biggest entertainment launch in history back in 2004.
To rewrite retail history.
Video game is expected to have bigger first-day revenues than any movie has ever had an opening day.
Selling $124 million in just 24 hours. It even surpassed box office releases like Spider-Man and Matrix Reloaded. Now that's enough lollygagging. You're probably sitting there wondering, why do I like this game so much? When was the first time I played with it? What is this voice that I'm doing right now? I don't really know. It was supposed to sound like the guy from Family Guy, but now I don't really know what this voice is. Now obviously if you watch my video on Halo CE, then you'd know that game is pretty much the entire reason I grew to love FPS games and the sci-fi genre in general to begin with. But this game, this game basically cemented that love, as fucking nerdy as that shit sounds.
Halo 2 is an improvement over the first game in almost every way. There's more of a focus on combat than CE. Also, the story and levels being shown by the perspective of two different characters on opposing sides was quite awesome, and really showed the dichotomy of our two protagonists.
What's going on with you? What are you talking about?
Anyway. But yeah, the game is awesome. For starters, the story is like top tier and could/should be adapted into a movie or show. If only there was, I don't know, like a Halo TV show that could do such a thing. Oh, wait, yeah, there was, and a garbage one at that. Nah, okay, yeah, consider me lucky, right? No! What really got me hooked into Halo 2's story the most growing up wasn't the regular Master Chief shit. As cool as being a 7-foot super soldier saving the galaxy is, we already did that shit in the first game. Nah, what really captivated Ajan was the Arbiter's story. Oh, fuck. Okay, I couldn't even say that with a straight face. I'm sorry. Philly slang is so fucking bad. It sounds like shit. You went to that news on? I fucking hate that shit. The Arbiter's storyline was where it was at. This was where you got like 90% of the really interesting lore, seeing how the Covenant's inner workings and politics worked. It's also the game where we learned that the Halo rings and Forerunners are basically viewed as religious icons and gods, respectively, to the boys in purple over here. On top of that, they believe that activating the rings would complete something they call the Great Journey, which was basically their version of Valhalla or Eternal Paradise.
I shall light this holy ring, release its cleansing flame, and burn a path into the divine beyond.
Which is ironic because the Halo rings are quite literally designed to kill everything in the universe.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
The sacred rings, what are they?
Weapons of last resort, built by the Forerunners to eliminate potential flood hosts, thereby rendering the parasite harmless.
And those who made the rings? What happened to the Forerunners?
After exhausting every other strategic option, my creators activated the rings. They and all additional sentient life in 3 radii of the galactic center died as planned. Would you like to see the relevant data?
Tartarus, the prophets have betrayed us.
The other reason I like the Arbiter storyline is that he actually has a character arc, unlike Master Chief. Dude started as a high-ranking Covenant official, but because he failed to protect the ring in the first game, he gets punished and then turned into the Arbiter, which, you know, I guess you could argue if that's really a punishment, considering Arbiters canonically are like the right hand of the prophets, who are the leaders of the Covenant, but let's not get bogged down by the details. You see him go from a loyalist, blindly following orders and believing the lies he's been told, to essentially being the catalyst for a civil war that breaks out between the elites and the rest of the Covenant.
The icon is my responsibility. Was your responsibility. Now it is mine. A bloody fate awaits you and the rest of your incompetent race. And I, Tartarus, chieftain of the brutes, will send you to it. And the prophets learn of this, that they will take your head when they learn. Fool. They ordered me to do it.
Plus, you get to see him team up with the humans, which was so cool to see for the first time. Even to this day, this scene has me geeked out and bricked up, man. Sorry. I didn't mean to say that. As for the Master Chief, like I said, he's kind of just doing his own thing, killing aliens, you know, type shit. I mean, beside killing one of the prophets, he really doesn't do that much in this game either. You know, Arbiter's the one that stops the ring from firing at the end, so, you know. But he does get this fire-ass cutscene, though.
Just one question. What if you miss?
I won't.
But for the most part, he kind of just takes a bit more of a backseat plot-wise until the third game, at least when compared to the Arbiter. Now, obviously, what's a Halo game without stuff to shoot at? Am I right, guys? Well, I guess that'd be Halo Wars, or that one DOA game with Spartans in it, or, you know, Killer Instinct that has the Arbiter, so... yeah. Halo 2 built upon a lot of the core mechanics of Halo CE and gave it way more depth. The gameplay was sped up, not only due to the smaller combat arenas, but also the removal of the healthcare system. What the fuck? What I meant to say was health pack system. They removed that out of the game. You have regenerating health, which when combined with features like dual wielding or hijacking vehicles, it gave the players more of a reason to play aggressively and be on the offense more often. Not to say that Halo CE was all that defense oriented or slow paced, but out of the 3 games in the trilogy, Halo 2 feels like the faster paced game. Unless you're playing on Legendary, in which case you're kind of stuck treating this game like it's a fucking milsim. Halo 2 would introduce iconic weapons like the battle rifle, carbine, the first grenade launcher in the series with the brute shot, and replace the assault rifle with the SMG, which had a reduced range but allowed you to dual wield. And same goes for the Magnum. Instead of being the precision weapon of the game, now the battle rifle has that title. Instead, the Magnum got its damage nerfed and given the ability to dual wield. So if you pair it with the plasma pistol, that's kind of like an instant win button. Speaking of instant win buttons, the Halo CE shotgun was the best shotgun in the entire series. The range on that shit was crazy and it did high damage. So you know what they did with it in Halo 2? They nerfed it. They nerfed the range, which fair enough, but like, you know. Oh, and let's not forget one of the most insane combos in any game, dual wielding needlers. That shit was so insanely overpowered to the point where they had to remove the dual wielding feature in Halo 3. And that's not even mentioning all the other new guns like the fuel rod cannon, beam rifle, sentinel beam, or the sword. This game was stacked with weapons. The levels themselves are also all unique and each one stands out from the next. One mission you're on Earth, the next you're in the Covenant City of High Charity, or you're in a gas mine floating above a planet. Also, some of the in-game storytelling is great, especially when you're in high charity or on the last few arbiter levels. Seeing elites fight it out with the brutes or teaming up with hunters and grunts gives off this feeling that you're really watching an empire crumble from the inside out. There are fewer points throughout the game that just slow down pacing. There aren't any levels that repeat, which basically made up the entire second half of Halo CE. And each mission felt like it had something new for you to see or do. Not to say that CE didn't have variety, it did. With how much faster paced and action oriented Halo 2 is, you're constantly doing something, whether it's a tank section, fighting a scarab, exploring through Forerunner ruins, or trying to sneak past the Flood. There's always something new happening at each turn to keep you engaged, unlike CE where there are a lot of moments where you can kind of just go into autopilot. Another new feature were boss fights, and honestly, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, these boss fights are fucking horrible. The first boss fight is against a heretic leader, and instead of just letting the arbiter listen to Guilty Spark, which it looks like he was, you know, open to hear what Guilty Spark had to say, he pulls out these hollow drones out of his ass, and like, it's not like he's a special elite or anything. He doesn't have extra shields or anything. He has a jetpack and 2 clones of himself. And guess what? It's not that hard to figure out which one is the real heretic, so you shoot him a few times and boom, the mission's over. The second boss fight, however, oh my god, this shit is just Jesus Christ. Honestly, just look at it.
There's the target. Take him out.
Fatality.
Alright, I don't know what you want me to say to that. And the last boss fight is against Tartarus, who is just as easy as the other 2 bosses. The only real difference is he has an overshield that needs to be deactivated, and not by you, mind you, but by Sergeant Johnson. So, you know, you just kind of have to wait for him to shoot Tartarus a few times before you can do any damage. All 3 of these bosses are just so insanely underwhelming that it took almost 17 years for Halo to try boss fights again. Now, I would talk about multiplayer, but aside from shitting on my friends in every Halo game imaginable, I'm kind of not that invested in the Halo multiplayer scene, especially not for a game that's 20 years old, so, you know, fuck that. Plus, safe bet, the only people playing Halo 2 multiplayer right now are the same people that were playing 20 years ago, so I'm better off not dealing with that sweat fest. So instead of that bullshit, I'm gonna nerd out about the music instead. This game's soundtrack is fucking fire, man. Like, actually, it's so good. Also, a really cool detail is that most of the tracks that played during Master Chief's levels tend to have a more heroic and powerful sound to them. While arbiters are more atmospheric and haunting. And like, I don't know, but if you ask me, you can't play this game and not think this soundtrack doesn't go hard. Also, real quick, the remastered versions of these songs for Halo 2 Anniversary are just, oh my god, they go even harder, dude. Halo 2 is an awesome game, and while I do think Halo 3 is my favorite of the trilogy overall, since it mixes the best aspects of CE and 2, Halo 2 will always be up there for a variety of reasons. Out of the 3, the storytelling was the best in this game, the new lore that was set up was dope as fuck, it introduced weapons that would go on to become some of the most iconic weaponry in gaming ever, the music is 10 out of 10, I spent a lot of time playing this game on the OG Xbox 360 and on MCC. A lot of time. But even after all that time, after I've beaten it on Legendary, found secret out-of-bounds spots or speedrun strats, Halo 2 never gets old, and for a game that went through as much development hell as this, for Bungie to still deliver a 10 out of 10 game is insane. And that's why Halo 2 is the game that makes me shit, piss, and cum